Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I'm Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founding minister and spiritual director. You are invited to learn more about this new teaching center by following us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Subscribe, join, follow, and spread the news with others who may be interested in the work we are going to do in the world. Namaste and blessings. Time for service.
Hello, greetings. So today, February 19th, after this Sunday message, you can head over to Zoom for our After Sunday Message Fellowship, an opportunity to chat, to meet new folks, engage in that deep spiritual conversation, and just, laugh about stuff. If you don't already have the Zoom link, make sure, like right now, send an email to spirituallyintegratedarts@gmail.com. Tracy or I will make sure you get the Zoom link so that you can join us. If you don't have the opportunity to do so right now, then once the Sunday message is done, feel free to do it then, and then hop over to, or, you can post it in the chat if you're on Facebook or on YouTube, and let us know, and we'll do our best to get you the link. Okay? Today, February 19th, immediately following this message. Also, next Sunday, following the Sunday message as well. Now, if you are ready, everybody ready? Everybody ready? Are you sure? Okay, then let's jump in. The world is an oyster. When I was in VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, in the theater department, getting my master's in theater, we used to do these vocal warm-ups, and one of the vocal warm-ups was a tongue twister. A noisy noise, a noise, an oyster, but a noisy noise, a noise, an oyster most. The world is an oyster. The world, like an oyster, has the potential to take an awful irritant and transform it. Breathe. The oyster takes this irritant, sand, and it transforms it by coating it with its own essence. And then that gift it gives to the world as an oyster. What began as sand that irritated became this thing, a pearl that the oyster now offers. This gift from the oyster. Pearl. Breathe. So, this also is ours to do, both within our own selves, to do the same thing the oyster is doing. Take an irritant and transform it using our essence to create this pearl. How do we do this within ourselves and out in the world, individually and collectively, regarding all of the things that irritate us and all that is our truest essence? Breathe. That's the work. Ready? A noisy noise annoys an oyster, but what noise annoys you the most? Warning, danger, Will Robinson, warning, irritant, irritations, irritable. Dun, dun, dun. If I were to ask you, how well do you know yourself? Do you know what your irritations, do you know what your triggers are? You know, we may say, so, yesterday at the meeting, I was triggered. Cool, past tense. But let's present tense it. What triggers you? What are the things that irritate you? Now, these are all phrased in the past tense because it was ed a second ago. I feel excluded. We're going to present tense it. I feel forgotten. I feel like this is unfair. I feel trapped. I feel unloved. What triggers you? Now, these are the things. Someone said something and I feel judged. Someone did something and I feel unsafe. Now, it's easy to identify the external, what they said, what they did, what I see, what I hear, what's going on. It's easy to identify those. What's more challenging is recognizing that those tie into these things. This feeling of being excluded, this feeling of being manipulated, being uncared for, this feeling of, I feel like I'm trapped, right? So our invitation is connect when someone does this, whatever that is. They're using a toothpick and they're picking their teeth, and that sound, it does something to you. It triggers you. It irritates you. Can you identify why? What's going on? Can you identify what is it that you feel when that is irritating you? Because see, if we can identify it, we can transform it, right? If we can identify, if the oyster was unable to identify sand, like it's looking, I know there's something in here, but I can't find it. Then what is it bringing its essence to? Like it can't find it, so it can't bring its essence to it and transform the sand into a pearl. I think I said oyster earlier. It can't transform it and bring its essence to it and transform the sand into a pearl. It can't do that. It has to identify it first and then envelop it with its essence and transform it. Can you identify? Do you know your triggers well enough to identify them so that they can be transformed? Now, Surya Das said, the pearl principle is this idea that no irritation, no pearl. If there is no irritation, there is no gift. I got that. I hear that, right? If there is no sand, there is no pearl. If there is no whatever that is, then there is no, yes, I got that. I understand that. I understand it completely. Stay tuned for the remix because we're going to revisit this a little bit later. Just pause on that. No irritation, no sand, no pearl. No irritation, no sand, no gift. Pause. Thich Nhat Hanh says, every feeling, breathe. Every feeling is a field of energy. A pleasant feeling is an energy which can nourish. Irritation is a feeling which can destroy. Under the light of awareness, the energy of irritation can be transformed and become an energy which nourishes. You got that, right? The energy of irritation can be transformed so that it nourishes. It doesn't have to become the quote unquote enemy. So, Thich Nhat Hanh says, Now, I'm not going to read all this. You can always get the slides if you just send me an email. I'll make sure you get the slides. But he says that we do not view irritation as the enemy coming to invade us. We are irritated, we know, and this irritation is in me. I am this irritation, and we breathe in and out into this awareness. Like he said, under the light of this awareness, the irritation can be transformed into that which nourishes us. I am the irritation. The irritation is within me, and I breathe in and I breathe out this awareness. We no longer need to oppose or expel or destroy our irritation. We treat our irritation with compassion and nonviolence, facing it with our hearts filled with love. We bring the light of awareness to it by breathing in and breathing out mindfully. Under the light of awareness, our irritation is gradually transformed. Every field is a field of energy. We just read this. A pleasant feeling is an energy that can nourish. Irritation is a feeling that can destroy. Under the light of awareness, the energy of irritation can be transformed into a kind of energy that nourishes us. Breathe. Therein lies the work. Breathe in and breathe out. Awareness. Breathe in, breathe out. Compassion. Breathe in, breathe out, and transform. Sri Sri Ravi Shankar says, if you are unhappy, even the moon irritates you. You ever get so annoyed that, as he says, everything irritates you? Sweet things nauseate you. Music disturbs you. When you are calm and centered inside, noise is musical, clouds are magical, rain is liquid love. But when you are unhappy, when you are not calm, when you are not centered, everything irritates you. Breathe. Because the invitation is to find that place of calm, find that place of being centered. Bring our daily practice to that so that we are more able to find music in the noise, find magic in the clouds, and find love wherever we look. Irritation. What is irritation? The state or feeling of annoyance and anger, impatience, resentment, aggravation, displeasure, vexation, ire, and one's temper. All of these things are various ways of expressing what irritation is. Got that? Okay. Now, the biological idea of irritation is there's this stimulation. The organism is stimulated in some way that it produces an active response. When we are irritated, no matter what the irritation is, it's producing a response. It's producing the activity of a response. Someone sucks their teeth, they chew gum and it's loud, they talk with their mouth full. What is the activity that is being produced? Is it increasing my blood pressure? My heart rate it's producing something. If I feel the anger, then what biological chemicals am I releasing in my brain that are now flooding my body that's causing my temperature to rise, causing this active response within my body somatically? See, it doesn't matter if I keep my mouth shut. There's still something, there's still an active response to feeling irritation. And if the irritation is prolonged, right? Like within enough time, if I keep doing this, don't know if you can see me. If I keep doing this, sooner or later, the skin is going to produce an active response. That response is it's going to get red. Keep going, and it's going to do one of two things. It's going to break the skin open and bleed, or it's going to develop a callus. But there's going to be a response. And I'm not controlling the response. I don't say skin, break open, break open, break open, bleed, callus, callus, callus. I don't do that. It's once again, the stimulation of an organism, cell, to produce an active response. If our skin, the very flesh of our body temple, responds to an external stimulation, an external irritation, why would we think that internally, emotionally, intellectually, that a similar thing is not occurring? Why would we assume, why would we Tupperware our spirituality to think, oh, the body does it, but the spirit, the emotions, they're different things. It doesn't work that way. No, yes, it does. There is only one life, one body, one mind, one spirit. And what we find is if it happens here, then it happens here. The template of spirit shows what happens in the template of physicality, the external world of effects. It's because it's connected. So if this irritation, whatever that is, poking myself with an ink pen, whatever that irritation is, trust and believe there is an emotional scab, an emotional callus that is also being formed, an intellectual scab or callus that's being formed, a relationship related bleeding and callus forming. It all works the same way. Am I aware of what active response is being produced by the irritations I feel when I am triggered? Dr. Holmes says, we do not change all of the patterns of our thoughts in a moment. Rather, it takes place little by little until gradually the old thought patterns become transformed into new ones by this inner alchemy of the mind. This spiritual practice, this spiritual path is not microwave metaphysics. We don't simply pop it into the microwave of the mind, hit a few numbers, and ding, it's done in 30 seconds. This is a gourmet meal. It requires gathering all of the ingredients and all of the pots and pans and measuring instruments and spoons and things to whisk and grade, and we need to gather it all. This is like Gordon Ramsay's kitchen. Like everything is here. And then we mix, we stir, we fold, we add, we blend, we stir, we mix, we put it in the oven or put it on the range, and we cook and we check, and it's a process. And we try to rush. Be present in the moment and practice the alchemy of the mind in the moment, in the same way that as we're cooking, it's like, no, it needs more curry. Taste it. Test what's going on in your world, in your emotions, in your relation. Now it needs a little bit more compassion. Ooh, wow, that's salty. I need to dilute this, and I need to add more. Do that with our relationships. Do that with our jobs and occupations and our hobbies and our healing process. Taste it, test it, see where it is, and then add what needs to be added, or subtract what needs to be subtracted, or do whatever we need to do to alter the recipe, to alter the gourmet meal, so that the experience of it is truly delicious as it should be and could be. Stop trying to rush your spirituality, because we try to glaze over things that irritate us, which gives us the space to practice metaphysical malpractice, because we glaze over stuff. let's be mindful. Yes, I'm grabbing this because this just came up. And I want to share something that Dr. Holmes said. Right here, we want to make it clear that you must avoid the mistake of saying that you are free if you are experiencing bondage. Never say peace when there is no peace. Never say you are well and happy if you feel miserable and lonesome. Unless when you make such statements, you actually change the conditions. Therein lies the practice. And see, we try to rush through stuff so quickly that we will glaze over and we will ineffectively bypass and practice metaphysical malpractice because we try to jump over and be like, everything is well, all is good. Everything is well, all is good. Yeah, but it's not. Your hand is bleeding. Everything well, everything's good. It's an illusion. It doesn't exist. Everything's well. I'm good. Yeah, but you're not. You just got divorced. I said everything's well, in God's order, in God's plan, everything's well. It's malpractice. Breathe. Moment by moment. Taste, test, add, practice, taste, test, inhale, exhale, moment by moment. As Carl Jung says, everything that irritates you about others, everything that irritates you about something else can lead us to a deeper, greater understanding of ourselves. Because the irritation technically is not about them or it. It's what is it about me that is being stoked? This response, what is it about me? Because then we determine, well, based upon that, what is mine to do? If there is an irritant in there's an irritant in the air and it's causing that is the response, then I am called to, let me go find, why is there smoke in the air? Too much incense is burning. Why is there smoke in the air? The neighbor's house is on fire and the wind, it's coming in the window. Then, I need to call 911. There's a response. But if I ignore everything's fine. Ain't God good? What? Real? No. So the irritation in the air that's causing this response gives me the opportunity to understand what about myself in that moment. I'm having difficulty breathing, and then I can change. I'm having difficulty forgiving, and then I can change. I'm having difficulty being compassionate, and then I can change. I'm having difficulty paying attention or listening, and then I can change. If I'm aware, if I understand, rather than judge and vilify the irritation, make peace with it. We can agree to disagree and still love each other. We don't have to agree on everything. We can disagree. And there's still love, unless what you are disagreeing with has to do with my oppression. And you are denying me some level of humanity and my innate divine right to live and exist. Then no, we have an issue. Houston, there is an issue. So we do not have to metaphysically malpractice or bypass and kumbaya, my Lord, everything is fine. I'm friends with everybody, everything is fine. We don't have to jump there. We can disagree and still see God. However, we're called to, what is that active response? What are we called to do? Like, I can have a family member who is Republican. I'm not. They are. And they support whoever they support, and I don't. They're anti-LGBTQ. I'm not. We can disagree and still love each other. But the moment their beliefs and paradigms cross into the realm of, oh, whoa, now you want to oppress me and others. Now you want to deny basic human rights oh, then now my active response is going to be different. Now, that doesn't mean there still won't be love, but I may not speak to you again. And that's fine. Breathe. Breathe. Because if it's no longer healthy for me to speak to you because of what it stirs in me, then it's best to create that space. But I have to be aware to know that and to do so from a space of love, not resentment. Breathe. The vision, part of the global vision for Centers for Spiritual Living, we envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience. Yeah. And you can read all of this on your own, but I want to change something for a second. We envision is great, but remember, there's an active response. So our active response for this is we create a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. We envision a world, we create a world, we manifest a world where personal responsibility joins with. That means there are going to be times where we are irritated by what's going on in the political, the corporate, the academic, the social sectors, and we are still called to respond, to bring our full essence as the spiritually magnificent beings to bear so that what we have envisioned, we create. We create as artists. And as Baldwin says, the role of the artist, the role of the metaphysician, is exactly the same as the role of the lover. Because if I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things that you are not conscious of. I have to make you see what you cannot see. I have to make you aware of what you are unaware of, because that's what love does. Love takes off the masks that we fear that we cannot live without. And yet we know that we cannot live with those masks. Breathe. Are we willing to love powerfully enough? As he says, I use the word love here not merely in the personal sense, but as a state of being or a state of grace, not in the infantile consciousness of the Western culture, American culture, colonization, not in that sense of being made happy and oh, it's all good, but in the tough and universal sense of quest and daring and growth and evolution. Are we willing to love that strongly, that powerfully, that transformatively? Now, once again, as I said, we envision a world. Now we create a world where, but we can only do this if we love, as he just mentioned, where we point out to others what they cannot see. So we see something that is not working politically. You say, what? You're banning, wait, you're banning all books in the state of Florida because why? People of color, what? We see that. And we see that that is not effective. So what do? We see corporations that show up, oh, it's June, it's Pride Month. Yay for, oh, yes, all the corporations got their rainbow gear and that. Yeah, but what about the other 360 some odd days of the year? And what about, what do you do to ensure that your LGBTQ employees and staff are taken care of and have medical coverage and all of the other things? And what are you doing externally to ensure that when they're not at work, that they're still protected by the country, the government, the policies outside of when they're at work? When we see something we must say something. When we see something, we must do something. There must be an active response because we are metaphysicians. When Yeshua, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, doesn't matter who it is, when someone came to them, there was an active response, a healing, a transformation, an opportunity to teach, a teachable moment. Do we love enough to create this world by confronting the systems and paradigms that we know don't work? Are we willing? Are we able? Right here and right now. A couple of weeks ago, I reminded us that knowledge alone is not enough. We must act. And willing alone is not enough. We must do. Are we willing to do it? Are we willing to act on that? Buckminster Fuller says, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And therein lies part of what we have unsuccessfully done with racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, etc. We are irritated by it, but we're not transforming it. We judge it, but we're not transforming it. We are not creating the new model. Now, what is the new model? The world that works for all. How many of us are actively meditating upon that, visioning upon that, praying upon that, to get the clarity, to anchor in the love and the awareness, to breathe in and breathe out and know what is ours to do to manifest that model so that it makes the existing, the current model of, makes it obsolete. You know, medicine has done that. Technology. Now that we have smartphones, who would ever go back to this thing that could actually only connect to 3 different phones? This connects to, look, that old thing is obsolete. I can't carry that in my pocket. I can't connect that to my car. It's obsolete. The plane that Orville and Wilbur flew is obsolete. Are we ready to make racism obsolete? Are we ready to make sexism obsolete? Toxic patriarchy obsolete? Heteronormativity obsolete? Christian nationalism obsolete? Are we ready to make all of those things colonization? Are we ready to do the work to make them obsolete? Because part of that means making obsolete the things within our own resentment. Am I willing to make that obsolete? Holding a grudge, am I willing to make that obsolete? Bitterness, am I willing to make that obsolete? Fear that I am whatever that conditioned fear is. I'm not talking about, the legitimate fears of things like, being stuck in a house that's on fire. That needs to be there. That is an instinctual biological trigger to save you. That's fine. But things like, I'm afraid of success because people are going to want more. That fear of failure, imposter syndrome, all of that stuff. Are we ready to make that obsolete so that we can truly live our best lives? Because I can't do it out there in the world, in politics, in the corporate and social and educational sectors, if I can't even do it here. Breathe. Old ways will not open new doors. Are we ready to open new doors? Are we ready to live that best life? Then it means we have to change what was and how we did it. Einstein said, look, you keep on doing the same old, and you think you're going to get different results. That's just ludicrous nonsense. Why are you squeezing an orange thinking apple juice is going to come out? It's just ludicrous. Stop doing that. Are we ready? Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. If not now, when? If not me, who? We are the ones that we have been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. Care of President Barack Obama. Are we ready to stop waiting? Are we ready to truly transform? Are we truly ready to metamorph into our truest selves rather than the pre-programmed ideas, the indoctrinated ideas of what it means to be who and what we are? Because on any given day, we can still watch television and see what they are promoting that we are and who we should be and how many things are judged, and it's easy. But are we ready to transform? And transform meaning, are we truly ready to be open at the top and open at the bottom? Are we truly ready to be open at the top and open at the bottom? Because if we are truly ready, then we are ready to create and co-create and communicate and collaborate and cooperate with one another to manifest a world that works for all, to manifest a community that works for the community, to manifest lives that work for each of us, rather than being closed off judgment, rather than being closed off resentment, rather than being closed off bitter, rather than being closed off fearful. Are we ready to transform? Are we ready to transform in a different way? Dr. King says it all boils down to the fact that we must never allow ourselves to become satisfied or complacent with unattained goals. We must always maintain a kind of, a level of, a degree of divine discontent. Divine discontent. Now, what is divine discontent, you ask? Divine discontent is the thing that makes someone say, I have a song that needs to be sung. I have a book that needs to be written. I have a dance that needs to be choreographed. It is that thing that says there's something wanting to be birthed, created through me, and I cannot simply let it stay within. I will not be content to let it stay within. The poet must write and speak and perform poetry. The dancer must dance. The chef must cook. There is something that must be expressed. And this divine discontent is how the universe, how creation itself moves through us, inspires us to express. Remember, there is that active response. Now, there's this quote. Often people quote this so often, but there is an oft quoted phrase that captures this time-honored purpose of journalism. That's what it was originally used for. The phrase originated during the muckraking era of journalism by humorist Finley Peter Dunne, and he put it in the character, his alter ego of Mr. Dooley. Now, the phrase, comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Take that in. Are we willing to comfort the afflicted, those who are currently experiencing the after effects of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria, Istanbul and whatnot, and still in the Ukraine, the war? Are we comforting the afflicted? Those who recently have been triggered by and affected by yet again another mass shooting on a college campus. Are we comforting the afflicted and afflicting the comfortable who will not enact effective gun restrictions? Are we afflicting the comfortable who are okay with white supremacy? Are we afflicting the comfortable who stand in pulpits and say that LGBTQ folks should be stoned? It's 2023 and you talking about stoning people? Are we afflicting the comfortable? Because if we're going to, remember James Baldwin said, if I love you, then I am willing and able, and I am actively responding to make you aware, to make you see, to bring to your understanding that which you have not seen or understood or been aware of, purposefully or not. But I am going to do what is mine to do so that you are. Now, Clarence Darrow made the same statement, but he tweaked it a bit by saying, the most human thing we can do is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And I could say the most humane thing that we can do. The most humane thing, the most human thing. What are you doing in your own life to comfort the afflicted, including yourself, if that is you, or to afflict the comfortable, including yourself, if that is you? Sometimes we get complacent and we get comfortable, and we need to restoke the fires of inspiration. Leon Brown says, never underestimate the value and important difference that you make in every life that you touch. For the impact you make today has a powerful rippling effect on every tomorrow. You make a difference. Now, today there is a quiz. Do you know what this is? Now, you may quickly say it's a seed. Yeah, I know somebody said it's a coconut. It's not. It's a seed. You know, a kind of seed. Okay, that's correct. Yes. However, that seed is not simply an apple. That seed is actually an orchard. Follow the concept. This one seed has within it the potential to create an entire orchard from one apple seed, an entire orchard of trees and apples come from this single seed. Within that single seed, countless, within that single life that is yours, countless ripples of influence and impact. You make a difference. Now, let's revisit real quick. You remember the remix that I said we were going to come back to? Well, let's come back to it. The pearl principle. No inner irritation, no pearl. Yes, I hear you. But let's be mindful, because we hear or have heard, we're familiar with, oftentimes people will say things like, well, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. God only gives you enough because God knows what you can carry. God will never give you more than you can carry. What? It's time to stop saying that, because we are actually creating the system that makes us need or want subliminally to continue to suffer. We do not need pain. We do not need suffering. We do not need any of that in order to grow and evolve. We do not need it. Divine discontent, inspiration, and love are more than enough. So let us right now stop expecting or wanting or needing irritation, pain, and suffering as the sole impetus for us to change. We don't need that in order to change. We don't need that in order to, because far too many of us go into this whole idea of, we won't go there right now, but you know what I'm saying. So time to shift. Remember what we said before. We shift. We breathe in a new awareness, divine discontent, inspiration, and love as the fuel, the call to change. Holmes says, nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. Nature demands. You know what? Let's remix this right now, because I understand what he's saying. But for the sake of this conversation, because nature, yes, but nature is actually spirit. Spirit will not let itself, and therefore will not let us, stay still or in any place, quote unquote, too long. Spirit demands change, evolution, movement in order that it, and therefore that we, may advance, evolve. When the change comes, we should welcome it with a smile on our lips and a song in our heart. Breathe. This week's Thursday night discussion group questions, which once again, as always, feel free to email myself or Tracy to get the Zoom link so you can join Tracy and the group. But this week, even if you don't join the group, what is in your current world experience right now that is working you like that grain of sand in the oyster? What's irritating you in your life right now? What is the pearl? What is the gift that is desiring to be revealed in, through, and as you to the world? Where or when do you find that you are either ignited or hindered by your beliefs, by your subconscious, your unrealized beliefs and paradigms? You have the passion, the fire to find and execute what is yours to do. Do you like what is the thing? Do you find that you do have this passion and fire, this motivation, or is it hindering you? Which one of these is being called forth, showing up in your life? Are you ignited or hindered? Do you have the passion and fire, or are you afraid to act? Or you're acting, but you're not acting in accordance with this thing that, your dreams, your visions, your goals, your best life. You're not doing what you really, really want to do, or what you say you want to do. Breathe. What are some of your triggers? What do you tend most often to be triggered by? And what do you do when you are triggered? What tends to be your response when triggered? Do you shut down? Do you yell? Do you eat cookies? In what ways can you love like James Baldwin mentioned? And what spiritual practices do you engage in to focus your intentions and your desires and your manifestations? And are your spiritual practices effective in producing what it is you desire to produce? This week's declaration or affirmation, I will say it first, and if you feel aligned, say it with me on the second go round. I am a catalyst for life-affirming change in the world. I am a catalyst for life-affirming change in the world. Together, I am a catalyst for life-affirming change in the world. Breathe. And let's close in prayer, anchoring in the awareness of knowing that this thing we call God, Source, Spirit, is incarnating itself in, through, and as us. And that this thing that we may be feeling irritated by, whatever that is, it is actually an opportunity for greater awareness of who and what we are as divine beings, greater opportunity to live our best life, greater opportunity to transform not only our individual lives, but our collective experience, to not only envision a world that works for all, but to create it, to manifest it, so that each of us individually are able to live our best lives, but so too can the collective. That we are up-leveling and upgrading the entire collective consciousness so that the collective consciousness as it currently operates is made extinct, and in its place, a new collective consciousness built in the energy of oneness and unity and love and compassion, cooperation, ohana, family, community. And I breathe knowing that all of this, the law says yes. And because the law says yes, that means there's already an active response of the universe to manifest this accordingly. And so I commit to rolling up my sleeves, to doing what is mine to do, because right now I treat and then I move my feet. Right now I speak, and then there is an active response that I am called into, to bring my essence, to envelop and transform. Mental alchemy, spiritual alchemy, to bring into manifestation precisely what I know already exists. Breathe. And as I said, the law says yes. It is already there. That means it's already done. With love and gratitude, I not only bless each one of you and all of creation, but I bless this process. It is good. And so it is. Much love and appreciation, everybody. Yes, today's talk was a little longer than usual. I had a lot to say. There's a lot going on in the world, and it's time for us to change it. Love you, and I will see you over in Zoom for the after Sunday message chat. Much love.